Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. Presented to you by Dr. Vinamrata. Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to critically appreciate a poem written by Matthew Arnold titled The Dover Beach. Now, before moving into the poetry, let's have a brief look into who was Matthew Arnold. About the poet Matthew Arnold, 24th December 1822 to 15th of April 1888. He was an English poet and critic. Arnold was born in an influential family and his father was Thomas Arnold, who was the celebrated headmaster of Rugby School. Arnold graduated from Balliol College, Oxford, and he married to Frances Lucy, the daughter of Sir William Whitman, who was the justice at the Queen's Bench. And this is to her, his wife, Frances Lucy, that this particular poem, Dover Beach, is addressed to. Arnold is considered as a sage writer, someone who chastises and instructs the reader on contemporary and social issues. He was also an inspector of schools for 35 years and supported the concept of state regulated secondary education. His famous works are Dover Beach, The Scholar Gypsy, Tiresias, Culture and Anarchy, and Literature and Dogma. Because he was a considerable and profound influencer and a strong critic, his works, Culture and Anarchy and Literature and Dogma, are among one of the path-breaking grounds in the field of criticism. Now, moving on to this particular poetry. First, about the poem. Dover Beach is a short lyric poem. It was first published in 1867 in the collection New Poems, but was most likely composed in 1851. And it is thought to have been composed when Arnold was on honeymoon on Dover Beach with his wife Frances Lucy, that in 1851. But this poetry particularly is not just a honeymoon poem, but instead the poem goes much deeper into the notion of happiness and humanity's spiritual state. Dover Beach is a place, actually it is the shore of the English ferry port of Dover in Kent, and the shore faces Calais in France. Thus, it opens towards France and can be seen as a connecting link between the two countries. Many of the beaches in this part of England are made up of small stones or pebbles rather than sand, and thus Arnold describes the breaking of the sea on shingles and the sound it creates. The channel is surrounded by chalk cliffs and it is a place of tourist attraction. While talking about the structure of the poetry, the poem breaks the old poetic forms and is an open-ended poem. The reader is left to interpret. The poem has irregular rhymes and rhythm and does not follow any classical template. Now, coming to the full poetry. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full, and the moon lies fair upon the straits on the French coast. The light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast. Out in the tranquil bay, come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray, where the sea melts the moon blanched land, listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. At the return up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean Sea, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled, but now I only hear its melancholy. Long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges, drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, no certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash at night. You see, such a metaphorical poem it is. It is full of images and symbols coming from sea, and the whole world, the whole life of a human being is compared to a sea, the vast, endless sea, which is full of melancholy. Even the tides which are coming and going create a kind of melancholic song. Then there is the interplay of lights, the gleaming lights from the moon or from the lights which are glowing at the night, and then suddenly the lights are switched off on the coast of France, and here from the England Strait they can see it. So there are several images occurring, and all these images conclude to the point that human life is nothing but the voyage of a sea, or just like the eternal vast oceanic miseries compared to the oceanic waves. And when we are trapped in this world, the world of illusion, where pain is much more well evident, and where deceit is much more well evident, at that point of time the only thing which one can hold on is love. And that's why he asks his beloved to be true to one another, and so that they can finally have a new world for their own, where they can both rely on one another. Because as for the world, till now he has been disappointed by the world and the people around, or the ways of the world around. So it is very metaphorical, got so many symbolic meanings, and the vivid imagery. You can see your senses will be aroused. You will be able to imagine the whole of the Dover beach when Arnold explains it. So stanza by stanza, we'll take up the poetry and try to analyze it. So, critical analysis of the stanza 1. Dover Beach is a complex poem about the melancholy of human existence, the challenges one faces in this non-permanent world or life. The poetry is theosophical in approach and deals with moral issues. Some important philosophical questions are raised after reading this poetry. The first stanza starts with a vivid description of the sea, the moon, the French coast which lies ahead, the horizon where the sea melts in the arms of the moon-bathed land, and the effects of light coming from moon and from the sea coasts. The poet invites the beloved to the window to glance and fill your senses, to enjoy the beauty of the nature, to enjoy the beauty of the beach. And it is also an invitation for the readers to join in, to plunge in with the feelings of Arnold, The poet, despite momentary excitement, concludes that the moonstruck sea evokes melancholy, and it may be due to the eternal monotony of the waves, and also there the detailed description of the sea producing grating roar like sounds breaking on the shingles is mentioned. This is a metaphor for human existence and the eternal suffering of human beings. Coming to stanza 2. In stanza 2, Arnold mentions Sophocles. A certain melancholy flows into the second stanza also, and the poet mentions Sophocles, who was a Greek dramatist, 496 to 406 BC. And this, the mention of Sophocles and Greek drama, brings a historical perspective to the poetry. Arnold wants to assert the fact that from time immemorial, the sea has been a symbol for human misery. And maybe Sophocles, because you see, Sophocles was the master of tragedies. So, Sophocles, when wrote tragedies, only after hearing the eternal note of sadness near the Aegean Sea. Here, Arnold asserts two facts. One being that Sophocles, who wrote timeless tragedies, knew the human misery is eternal and permanent, and another that sitting near Aegean Sea gave him an inspiration, as sea here is the symbol of everlasting misery which is brought to human beings like the melancholic tides. The tides come in and goes out, bringing with it all the detritus, all the beauty and power contained in human life. Time and tide, as we all know the proverb says, waits for none. But the waves are indifferent, hypnotically following the cycle of the moon. Now, coming to the stanza 3 and 4. In stanza 3, the poet introduces the idea of faith and religion, because faith is ebbing. There was a time when it was full, like the full tide, when the water is high, but now it is lost. Faith is compared to the full tide, and the simile of a girdle is used for a full tide. It was once ornamented like a girdle. When the water is high, it encircles the earth like a girdle on the shore. But now it has receded. Christianity can no longer wash away the sins of humanity. Actually, no religion can help human beings because human beings have lost their moral values. Arnold wants to point out that the deteriorating values are at work in the Western society. He knew that the old establishments were beginning to crumble. People were losing their faith in God as the advancements of technology and science and theory of evolution encroached. Now, when the loud sound of the full tide is long after the receding, only naked shingles can be seen on the shore. Again, it is a metaphor for disintegrating society in a naked form. The girdle is washed away, the tide has gone, it is no more ornamented, the shore is no more ornamented by the full rise of the tide, and when the tide recedes, the beach, the shore becomes bare, becomes naked, only the shingles are seen. The same is with the present day society. In the fourth stanza, Arnold asks the beloved to be faithful, as now only true love and being faithful towards one another can withstand the negative forces in the world. Staying true to each other can bring meaning to an otherwise confused and confusing world. As the world, which once the thought was full of love and joy, is no more the same. It is enveloped in darkness. Arnold also mentions wars, which may wage out any time, any place in this world. The evolutionary struggle continues, and thus only the foundation of truth within love can guarantee solace. And see, this poetry was composed on his honeymoon, so obviously there is his beloved there, and he asks her to come to the window and to look towards the beauty of the sea, and also observe the melancholy of the sea, and with it also observe the declining moral values of the world. So he wants to finally on his honeymoon at this point, at this Dover beach, assert this fact that whatever the world whatever may happen in the world, even the world may crumble down around them, but their love, their bond should be so strong that they stay glued to one another. Now, in two lines, we can say, summing it up, that the poem delves deep into the spiritual conflict or existential crisis one experiences after acquiring new knowledge that conflicts with the prior beliefs. Because you see, this was a time of new technology, new advancements. The origin of species by Darwin has been introduced. So it is the time of disillusionment. The platform on which the people were standing is now gone. So they don't know on what kind of slippery ground they are standing, whether to believe in God or whether to believe in science. So disillusionment and loss of faith lay at the backdrop of the speaker's lens of loneliness. However, this final outreach of his love is his antidote. Only love can help him. This poem contains superb vocabulary and imagery and gives you a vivid description of the Dover beach, and through that lens you can have a look towards the world beyond, towards the metaphorical world also. So that is the beauty of this poetry, and that was all about the poem. I'm sure you all must have understood it. If yes, then please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you.